I would rather buy Jasmy instead of Solana, and the reason why is because I like its hypothetical upside a lot better. Even though that's not financial advice, I'm not saying it has more fans or more hype because it doesn't have more fans, it doesn't have more hype than Solana. But again, naturally, because Jasmy is just at a much lower point than Solana, hypothetically, the room for growth is a lot more dynamic. I mean, just think about this, right? If let's say Jasmy were to go to the price of $1, that right there would be around a 40x from here. Now, it's not that crazy, by the way, because at that point, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $50 billion, which is still over $50 billion less than BNB's all-time high market cap and over $30 billion less than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap. So I'm not talking about something too ridiculous, especially when I consider how amazing Jasmy is fundamentally, which I'm going to get a little bit later on into that in the video. However, on the flip side, could Solana do a 40x from here? I highly doubt that. I'm not talking about 10, 20, 30 years later. I'm just saying in the next 6 months to 10 months. Could it do that? No, I don't think it could do that, because if let's say Solana were to do a 40x from here, at that point, the price would be around $8,600. I mean, just imagine that. However, even what's more crazy is the fact that considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $4.2 trillion. Yeah, that's impossible, especially in 2025. No way, right? Just think about this. If the GDP of Canada back in 2023 was around $2 trillion, this is not possible in my opinion. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's reasonable for Solana to do this during this bull run. Could Solana do good? I think so. And has it done pretty well? Absolutely. But in my opinion, as of right now, if I had a choice only Jasmy or Solana, hands down it's going to be Jasmy because the room for growth is a lot more dynamic. Again, Solana may have more fans, more hype. You know, it may have more action, so to speak. However, I do believe that Jasmy is just a much better pick for me. Just think about this, right? Jasmy is focused on a market that's on the rise. What is that? That is decentralizing data storage. Now, why is this massive? It's because for the longest time possible, and even as of right now, a lot of data storage is happening in a centralized way. And there's not like anything necessarily wrong with that because it is working and it's going to continue to work, but it doesn't mean that it can't be improved. You know what I mean? And when you take a look at it, a lot of these projects that are focused on decentralizing data storage, through that, there's no longer going to be these multiple single points of failures. No longer will, data be controlled usually by a single entity, much like what we usually see in some cases with centralized data storage. So when you think about it, decentralization could bring better benefits. Now, only time will tell. However, this is amazing and Jasmy is focused on that. And you got to think about how naturally, because something is more decentralized, it's going to be less susceptible to potential hacks and attacks. Just think about if, let's say, someone is hiding their treasure in a real life example. I'm just making an analogy here. Let's say someone hides their treasure in 50 different locations as opposed to hiding it only in one location. It's going to be much easier to lose all if it's only in like one location, right? If that makes sense, as opposed to 50, which if like, let's say even 3 or 4 gets breached or like 5 or 10, there's still a bunch more left, if that makes sense. So decentralization, just brings much better benefits in my opinion. Keep in mind, the data storage market, or should I say the global data storage market size, is predicted to be worth nearly $800 billion by 2030, according to Fortune Business Insights. So that's a massive market right there. And because this market is quote unquote a little bit boring to some people, I think that as a result of that, it was actually a blessing in disguise because while a lot of other developers out there were focused on blockchain gaming, NFTs, DeFi, AI, a bunch of other sectors, right? As a result of that, there wasn't really that much competitors in this space. I'm talking about the data storage, space in the sense, right? And as a result, again, not many good competitors. And Jasmy has one of these, imposing presence in this space because think about how in this space, of course, there's Filecoin, which many people think is number one. There's also, of course, Jasmy, Arweave, JasmyCoin, storage. When you take a look at that, there really isn't that many good competitors. So if there is a lot of action, which I hypothetically think there will because the market is on the rise, and there really isn't that many good competitors, Jasmy naturally is going to have a higher probability to have a lot of attention paid to it, right? In terms of having a lot of attention be focused on it, I should say. And as a result, I think that's, of course, very good news. And this really kind of reminds me of, like, again, a market that not many people pay attention to, hence not many developers want to jump into it. And then during a fully fledged board, a lot of the attention is focused on those very few projects that are actually good in the space. And there's actually not even that many in this case. So I think this right here is actually very amazing for Jasmy. Not to mention the advantage that Jasmy may have over its competitors is the fact that it's the first ever legally compliant cryptocurrency in Japan, which is very amazing because Japan, I've been there many times before. It's a very amazing country, and being legally compliant in Japan, again, I think is very wonderful. Not to mention, you take a look at how, when it comes to Jasmy, its team is filled with many individuals who worked in places like Sony and KPMG, which is one of the big four accounting firms, by the way. So I think Jasmy has the right pieces in place, so to speak. I think it's fundamentally fantastic. I just think the room for growth is a lot more dynamic than Solana as of right now. And especially with over 600 million crypto owners as we speak, I highly doubt that this board is going to be bad at all. I mean, that's more than ever before in history, keep in mind, according to Crypto.com research. I think this board could be something very special. But again, only time will tell. And I'm willing to wait because the way to take a look at it is that I'm going to be waiting anyways. However, in the next 6 months to 10 months, I do believe that Jasmy is just going to be a much better pick for me as opposed to Solana. I'm not necessarily saying Solana is bad or anything like that. Again, it's a very amazing layer 1 blockchain with very low gas fees. It's very scalable. The ecosystem is very amazing. There's a lot of good Solana-based meme coins, and I'm even bullish on the Solana-based meme coins, much like Wen, much like Maneki. I like that, right? However, the way to take a look at it is that purely just from a potential upside standpoint of view, I think Jasmy does win in this case, especially in 2025. We do know that usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. That would actually mean around October this year, based on the last Bitcoin halving event that happened in April of 2024. Now, this is just a benchmark, but I think that if anything does give a good gauge that this year could be very special. And if I could only put all my eggs into one basket, it's going to have to be Jasmy as opposed to something like Solana. Now, of course, I'm not just only holding Jasmy in my portfolio, but again, if I only had those two options, as of right now, I'd much rather choose Jasmy over Solana. You know, Solana is going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to do its thing. But I think Jasmy is just very dynamic. And I'm in the world of cryptocurrencies not to look for microcaps, which I think hypothetically are kind of very risky, actually. Now, there's always going to be risk with anything, but a microcap I don't want to deal with. But then at the same time, I'm not looking for a dinosaur, right? I'm not looking for like a BNB or something like that. So what is a good balance in between? Again, it's something like Jasmy. I believe it's such a no-brainer pick for me. However, it's just a waiting game, and I'm willing to wait because, again, Jasmy at the price of $1 during this board, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.